Last episode, I survived the ceiling test with the hidden cable. The memory of my voltage tester flashing red still burned in my mind. I almost reached for death itself. Harris had warned us. Awareness is the true shield. But today, we faced something different. Not a hidden danger above our heads, but a wall of cold metal waiting to be shaped. The challenge was no longer just survival. It was precision. The sun leaked through the dusty shop windows. Rows of EMT conduits leaned against the wall like spears ready for battle. The smell of metal and oil filled the training hall. Harris stood in front of the pile, his boots planted firm, his voice cutting through the morning chatter. Harris, this is not just pipe. It is armor. It's protection for your wires, order for your system, and proof of your professionalism. I swallowed hard. Last night, I dreamed of sparks chasing me down dark hallways. Today, I was awake and about to wrestle with steel. Kevin, always the loud one, smirked. Kevin, why can't we just run wires without all this? Faster, cheaper? The class chuckled. Even Maria laughed under her breath. But Harris didn't move. His eyes were knives. Harris. Without conduit, wires get cut by sharp edges, corroded by moisture, overheated by fire. You don't want faster. You don't want cheaper. You want alive. I flinched at the word alive. That word had followed me since the ceiling test. On the table, Harris laid out 3 samples. EMT, rigid conduit, PVC. He held each like a judge weighing evidence. Harris's EMT is lightweight, easy to bend. Rigid steel resists mechanical damage but is tough to shape. PVC works in wet areas but is weak against fire. Which has a place. Which has a rule. Maria's pencil scratched against her notebook like a saw cutting wood. I barely kept up. My brain was already drowning in new terms. Conduit, raceway, rigid, PVC, flexible, armored cable, coupling, connector, elbow. They weren't just words, they were survival codes. Kevin grabbed a bender from the rack. His grin widened. Kevin, watch this. He marked the pipe, stepped on the foot pedal, and pressed too hard. The conduit squealed and twisted into an ugly arc. Harris's lips tightened. Harris, that's wasted material. What's the phrase? The whole class shouted together, measure twice, bend once. The words rang like scripture in the shop. I scribbled it again in my notebook. Measure twice, bend once. Maybe if I burned it into my brain, I could avoid disaster. When my turn came, my hand shook. I marked carefully, set the pipe in place, and pulled slow, steady. The conduit yielded to a clean 90-degree bend. Harris's faint smile told me it was right. Now imagine 100 more in perfect alignment. That is a professional installation. The class clapped. Kevin muttered under his breath, but I didn't care. The conduit had obeyed me. The foreman entered without a word, eyes sharp as steel. He stopped by Maria's work. Spacing is too wide. The code requires closer supports. She flushed, adjusted her straps until the spacing was right. A single nod from him confirmed it. I realized inches mattered. Too wide and conduit sagged. It's too close and you wasted. Code wasn't suggestion. It was law. Harris fired questions across the room. What tool bends conduit? A bender. What pulls wires through conduit? Fish tape. Why secure conduit with straps? It's for safety and code compliance. What happens if spacing is too wide? It fails inspection. The room echoed with answers. Each response was a shield hammered into place. Harris demonstrated with the fish tape. Smooth and steady. Never force. What happens if you pull too hard? The insulation gets damaged. Kevin yanked too roughly. Wire snagged and stuck. Harris didn't need to scold. His silence was louder than words. Do we always need a junction box? I asked. Yes. Every connection. Every direction change. The code is clear. Years later, I would see a crew skip boxes to save time. 2 weeks later, wires overheated and smoke poured into the ceiling. The contractor lost his reputation overnight. Code is written in fire. Maria raised her head. What does conduit fill mean again? The number of wires allowed inside? It's too many wires, too much heat, failure, the foreman added. Who remembers OSHA's ladder rule? 75 degrees, correct? Break it, break your neck. I wrote it all down. conduit fill, box fill, knockouts, alignment fittings. Words that once sounded like riddles now felt like armor. Maria struggled with a junction box, hammering too hard and denting the knockout. Which size do I use? Match the conduit. Precision is your currency. I remembered seeing a handyman once, jamming wires through holes he punched with a screwdriver. It worked for a week, then sharp edges cut the insulation, and the breaker tripped every night. Cheap mistakes become expensive fast. By afternoon, the wall glittered with aligned conduit runs, straight, level, supported, every strap and anchor in place. The foreman walked slowly, scanning with eyes like a hawk. Conduits are the skeleton of the system. The skeleton is crooked, the body collapses. Harris kept drilling us. PVC in wet areas, moisture resistant, and its weakness, fire. Which conduit resists mechanical damage best? Rigid steel. Repeat the phrase before bending. Measure twice, bend once. I remembered later watching a man ignore that phrase. 10 bends, none aligned. He cursed and tossed them into the dumpster. Hundreds of dollars lost. One phrase could have saved him. Kevin swung a coil of flexible conduit like a rope. Why not use this everywhere? Easy. Use it too much and your job looks like spaghetti, and spaghetti doesn't pass inspection. Even the foreman smirked. Maria raised her voice. Threading. Cutting grooves for fittings. And sleeving. Protection for wires through walls. Fire stop seal openings to prevent fire spread. Fire stop. The word gave me chills. I once saw a fire climb through open conduit holes in a high-rise. Small blaze on the 5th floor spread to the 7th in minutes. Smoke doesn't need stairs. Code is written in blood. By evening, every conduit was labeled, secured, aligned. The walls shone like polished armor. Harris stepped back, arms crossed. Why do we label conduits? For identification and safety. What happens if we fail to follow code? Failed inspection at best, injury or death at worst. The silence was heavy. Nobody laughed now. Sat on a spool of wire, staring at the gleaming runs. They weren't pipes. They were discipline, order, survival. In my notebook I wrote, measure twice, bend once. Use the right type, secure and support. Protect the wires. Follow the code. Harris finally spoke. Good job, but tomorrow, no classroom wall. We will do a real installation in the underground run. My stomach tightened. Above ground, mistakes were embarrassing. Underground, mistakes could be deadly. Coming up next, Episode 8. Into the ground, into the unknown.